Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
Sam Quattro.
Hello.
And Beatriz Mourad.
Hello.
Today we're talking about the entirety of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power Season 2, which dropped on Netflix today, this morning. All 7 episodes of the season. We'll be reacting to it, giving our overall takes on the entirety of the season. We're going to be starting with a spoiler-free section, giving overall thoughts, a quick spoiler-free section, then moving into spoilers for the entire season. So stop listening when I say spoilers for the entire season if you have not checked it out yet. But yes, very excited to be getting into this new She-Ra season drop. We'll be having full coverage of all of She-Ra season 2 at the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com, our iTunes overlyanimated.com/iTunes, or our YouTube is youtube.com/overlyanimated. We're actually going to be giving episode by episode breakdowns in chunks of 1 or 2, starting this weekend, getting right into episodes 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, then we'll be going individual through the rest, seems like. So a lot of She-Ra talk coming up here on the Overly Animated Podcast. Subscribe to not miss any of it. But yeah, we're gonna get straight into things here in a spoiler-free section. So very broad overall thoughts on the season. All 7 episodes, we've seen them. Michelle, what are your overall reactions here?
Okay, question 1. Is this all of season 2, or is this just the first half? Okay, that's a good point.
That's on my outline. So, okay, yeah, let's clarify this. So, I have not seen this explicitly stated by Noelle or anyone else in interviews, but this is the first half of season 2.
Okay.
Now, Netflix is going to call the second half probably season 3 because they're the worst. If you watched Voltron, you're used to this. Basically, they started splitting Voltron seasons up into chunks of 6 and 7 and called them individual seasons. That's what's going on here. So if you're like, this was short, that's because it's the first half of season 2. We'll be getting the next 6 episodes, the rest of the season, probably in 3 months is how this generally works. So yeah, I would say factor that in when you're watching. This isn't really the whole season.
Okay, good to know. Having learned that, I was so happy the entire time watching this chunk. I feel like the best way I would summarize this is like they took everything that I really enjoyed about season 1 and just amplified it. Like there was like even more fluid action sequences, like even more like legitimate gay stuff. And like so much character development from like literally everyone, except for like maybe Natasha and Spinnerella, but like literally everyone else.
Did they appear?
Well, they're like there, but they don't like say. Okay. But like I bet it'll happen the second half of the season, so I'm like not even worried about them. I was so happy. Like I really enjoyed the cliffhanger. It drove me crazy because like I wanted more like immediately, which is what a good cliffhanger should do. And I love that like we're still getting plot, but like the show seems to like kind of sprinkle it in every couple episodes in a way that feels pretty organic as they just like go on these adventures every episode to different places. I really, really, really like it. I feel like all these episodes were really tight, like no meandering, like everything had a specific reason for being there, and it was really funny. A lot of really good gags, voice acting so good. I really like this show a lot. I think this is one of like my top 5 shows of the year for sure. It's so good. The season's so good.
It's not top 5 show of the year already for Michelle. That's how good these episodes were. Okay, that's good. The good. Michelle's high on the show. Good stuff. Sam, are you also high on this season of She-Ra?
I am. I really liked it. Dare I say, I liked it more than season 1. So let me explain that. So sort of in the way that Avatar: The Last Airbender, like you look back on the first like 10, 12, 13, whatever episodes, you're like, oh, this is all right, but they're kind of getting you to where you need to go narratively. Like they're kind of building up the world, building up the narrative. And that's what I feel about She-Ra season 1. They're kind of building up the characters, letting you like, hey, this is Entrapta, this is Frost, da, 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 da. But I didn't really feel super connected to anybody. But come this season, I feel like they had such good character episodes. Like, I really got to know people like Scorpia. That was such a plus. I love her so much. I got to know Kashra better. I got to know Shadow Weaver better. I got to know Frost better, Glimmer better, Bow better. I got to know everybody so much better. I thought that was so amazing. And it doesn't have to be all action, action, action all the time, which I think and appreciated that the season did very well. Like, we had time to rest and kind of just like chill out. There was one episode in the middle there that I think kind of really called to that, where they're all just kind of sitting around doing whatever, and we'll talk about that later. But I thought it was a great improvement to the first season and building on what it had built up, and I cannot wait for more episodes. I'll echo Michelle's sentiment. I think this is one of the best shows of the year thus far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, applause early on in the podcast. That's good. That's a good sign. Okay, Beatriz, are you with them on She-Ra season 2?
If you had asked me after I had watched the first 2 episodes, I would have been saying absolutely not. But then the rest happened, and I was like, all right, yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Not that the first 2 were poor or anything. It's just, I don't know. I think it started off a little rough, a little slow, kind of boring, we've already kind of tread this stuff. I felt like they were just like, okay, we got to check these boxes so that we can like move on with the plot. And then, but I agree. It had great character moments. It just kind of all flowed, and it maybe not necessarily like major things happen in terms of like the war that's happening. Maybe not, or if they were big developments that were happening, they were very much in the background, and weren't really super stressed on. It was just it relied a lot on character interactions and character moments, which is always great. And I really enjoyed it. I can't say, I feel like I can't rank the show in terms of other shows just yet, just simply because I can't say like, it's half of it. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's still, it very much feels like half. Like where it drops off, it felt like a mid-season finale, kind of, not even, it didn't really feel like a finale. It just kind of felt like, all right, now on to the next episode, but there wasn't an episode. I feel like they could have, maybe it was because they didn't know at the time, maybe now for later, like these later batches, they'll like know that they'll have to.
No, I think probably the whole show's been written. I think probably they were not aware of divisions when writing the show. Yeah.
Right. So I think like this is just going to be like how I feel like this, it's just going to be a criticism that's just going to continue for these first batch of season episodes. Where it just kind of ended, but I feel like it wasn't like a definitive end that I'm like, okay, I'm ready for like a hiatus, or I can survive a hiatus. I'm like, okay. So it feels a little weird, but yeah, I really love what I saw. I'm in a weird position where I'm like, I like what I see, but like, I don't get closure of any kind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
any kind, like, and like, even like the cliffhanger, and I'm like, it's fine if you have like one cliffhanger, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like, kind of similar to like Dragon Prince, where it's like, I just kind of feel like it lulled a little bit, where it's like, I don't know. It just kind of was like, okay, this is, all right, this happened and it's great. I love it. But what? Okay. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Okay, yeah. Dragon Prince at least is meant to be, the season was meant to be the season. Like,
right. So that's a more harsher criticism than this.
I think you can legitimately criticize that show. This isn't the crew's fault, because Netflix and DreamWorks just decide to cut the season off. This is like maybe the most I've ever felt the half season mark on any of these shows. I agree. It really feels like half the season. A lot of things are like introduced and then not expanded upon. But like that's not the fault of the show. So I do think it's like really hard to evaluate. Like I think if you're going to say, is this better than season 1 from the 7 episodes we've seen? I'd say no, cause it's half of a thing. But if I'm going to compare this to the first 7 episodes of season 1, like first 7 versus first 7, I think it's an improvement. So I think like that's what's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of things this season does, really, and it's not really a season. You call it a season, and we'll call next season season 3 if Netflix calls it that, just because we have to all be on the same page on what we're talking about. But I think there's a lot of things this season does really interestingly and really well. I think Scorpia is fantastic character this season, maybe the highlight of the season. Her and some potential relationship stuff with Quattro. Quattro, she jumped out for everyone in season 1. But for me, this was the season when Quattro finally shined for me. And
really?
Yeah. Yes.
I can see that because she has so much more responsibility now, which is a whole other side to her wanting to be in charge.
Yeah, like to me, Quattro, everyone else is a little bit, at least a continuation on what they were in. Yeah, this is new territory for Quattro kind of all around, and it's really exciting. I think the last 3 episodes of the season are really good. I think the first 4 for me were a little season 1, early season 1-ish, but it still had no bad episodes. Everything was really good. So another, I think, great half season of She-Ra here, and very excited to get to the next part. Yes, we vaguely alluded to stuff, but let's get into full spoilers now for the entire season of She-Ra, season 2, episodes 1 to 7. Make sure you've seen everything, and then come back and listen to the next part. Okay, so let's go. Give me one thing, I think, from the season. I tend to do this on these Netflix ones that jump out to you from all 7 episodes. What was your favorite thing? Episode, character, arc, anything like that, Michelle? What's jumping out to you?
Like, we don't have to start with Scorpia, but she was very strong this half of the season. And I remember saying, Beatrice, like on our speculation pod, like, oh, is Entrapta going to be a huge plot point? Yeah. Is Scorpia going to be kind of more in the background? And it ended up being the opposite. They got through the Entrapta stuff right off the break. And then Scorpia was actually the person that they kept building up, like the whole, like she had so many one-on-one conversations with Quattro, which makes me so happy, because I remember saying, like, that's what they need if I'm going to take this as a potential relationship seriously.
Yeah.
And it's such a pleasant surprise. Like, I really, like, I agree, like, with the rest of you, like, I do feel like I liked her before, but now, like, I really feel for her, and I really want her to succeed with Quattro, and just in general, she's such a cool person, and I love that, like, she's given a fair amount of, we can identify a lot with her, even though she's, like, technically a villain, because she's also, like, a queer butch lady, and it's good that she's not just, like, purely evil. I think that's, like, really, really, really important, so that makes me very happy. But also, Bo was really good this season, too, and he was definitely another standout for sure.
Okay, that's interesting. We'll get in. Any particular thing about Bo that jumps out to you from the season?
I mean, well, they're giving him this whole kind of, like, techie angle, which I did not see coming, and I think that's been actually, like, super helpful for the best friend squad. Like, he's been helping out a lot more, and getting some of his backstory in the very late half of the season was super nice, and I'm sure we'll talk about that and the revelations of his fam, even though we kind of already knew that. I mean, I think it's just like he's been a consistently really strong force, and slightly more so than maybe the first season. Like, Glimmer's always been a standout, but I feel like Bo has been more of a standout this time around than he was potentially the first season. So that's why it jumps out more now.
Nice. Yeah, we introduced the Bo techie angle in, like, 1 episode last season, but they really get into it a lot more this season, I think. So I think that's a good point. Then that is nice to see. Of course, we'll get into Bo's dads. Yes. Sam, what I know you're also big on Scorpia. Is that also what's jumping out to you this season?
That's what I was gonna say. But I can't say other things. It's a touch on Scorpia. I love her, and I can like feel the one-to-one to her very strongly. Like, I see her, and I'm like, oh, that me. So that's what I'll say about Scorpia at this point in time. Can I say something that jumped out at me that I didn't like?
Okay, yeah.
Swiftwind. I don't like him.
Swiftwind is very polarizing.
He literally appears and then disappears. Like, he's gone for the latter half of the season.
I know, but like the first 3 episodes, he was just like there, and I'm like, especially episode 2, I was like, oh, buddy, like, he's like the Mr. Peanut Butter of BoJack Horseman of the show, where I'm sure he'll grow on me, but at this time, he's very aggravating, and his general demeanor is not welcome to my
Okay,
ear
it's because
holes.
he's so peppy. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and
No, it's not.
Just that, though, 'cause then
Scorpio's like
wait,
happy, you know. She's
yeah, it's different because he's a unicorn. I don't know, but like not to just like bash on Swiftwind, but he was definitely a weak point for me. To touch on a strong point in terms of another character, at least in again the first like handful of episodes, I say Frosta. You know, she really got like, especially in episode 1, she got her moment to shine, being sort of the kid sidekick to Glimmer and just irritating her the entire episode. But then, you know, it turns out Frosta doesn't really have any friends and she's just trying to be one of the gang. And I think it's really cute, and I think that's valuable to show just, you know, friendship, you know, power friendship. That's very important.
That is basically the show. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that somebody at some point says it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Either Scorpio or Quattro says something about the power of friendship not being enough to save you or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, that checks out. Yeah, I really like Frosta too. We'll get into her in the season a little bit. Beatrice, what about you? What's standing out from the season?
all right. 3 things. 1, we've covered Scorpia. I disagree, Michelle. I don't think I'm not rooting for Scorpia and Quattro. Not because of Cachadora. I've jumped that ship.
Whoa.
It's because Quattro does not deserve Scorpia. She doesn't. She does not deserve her. Scorpia deserves the world.
right?
She
Okay.
deserves the world. Scorpia deserves the world. I guess if Quattro makes her happy, okay, but like she deserves better. Number 2.
I 100% agree.
All right. Glad we're on the same page. Number 2 is just the entirety of the D&D episode. Like that to me, just,
Yeah.
I mean, that just all of that. That's like hits all the points for me of like of everything that I like. Changing animation style, like referential humor. Like I just and like nods to things. It's everything. It's perfect. I love that episode. And number 3, this is hot take alert. I think this is going to be something that is underappreciated, but I adore. I love. And when I say love, it's like I would like if I had the mental capacity, because I don't. I'm too tired for it. But if I had the mental capacity, I would write like fluff fics of just the entirety of Hordak and Trapta's relationship. Yes! And not relationship like a romance. It could be romance. It doesn't have to be. It's just that. Like, you know how, like, on Twitter, there are people who've been drawing, like, their tropes of, like, oh, this is, like, the shit that makes me weak. And it's just these, like, very blunt. That's it. It's, like, the one who's, like, very angry and thinks they're smarter and better than everyone. And then the one who's super chill and they're actually the genius and get things done and don't know what boundaries are. Like, and that was it. And I adored it. It was there. I was not expecting it. And now I'm, like, Hordak, like I like the mohawk where I'm like, I dig it. I'm just like, look, I said this in the speculation pod. I was like, maybe that's Noelle's plan. She's going to make us love Hordak by the end of all this. I am 100% sure now. And I'm in. I think Entrapta and him are great friends, bros, more, who knows? I don't know how old he is. So I'm like, not going to go there yet.
He's pretty old.
So that's good. I mean, he's a skeleton, so it's like maybe they don't go by our rules of age. Like, who knows? I don't. Point is, I'm just so down for this relationship in whatever capacity it may be, because that was a gem, and I didn't expect it to be such a gem.
What if we kissed
really
in the portal
point.
we built to access other dimensions? Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god.
No.
Entrapta, let me show you the stars. Like, let me take you to new galaxies. And not only that, but it's like, let me show you just how powerful your brain can be. Like, I will give you a galaxy brain for you to take.
Let me take you to a planet.
I didn't expect this from Beatrice.
Me neither.
That's why I was like, I saved it for class. I was like, this is probably the only time I'll get to talk about it, so I must go in full on.
Okay, I think we covered it.
I didn't expect them to be a tag team. Like, that was the last thing I imagined out of this season that we'd get. But it is like one of the most pleasant surprises. I mean, I don't know about the ship thing. Like, we'll see.
Again, I don't know about the ship thing either. I still don't know yet, because
yeah.
But at the moment, like, they're just. I hate to use the word the relationship because usually people take that as like romantic connotation. But no, I genuinely mean just strictly like, their relationship, their interactions are so lovely. I'm like, this could just be so hilarious. I want an entire episode just dedicated to Entrapta proving Hordak wrong, and then Hordak just like have to gruffly like accept it and be like, okay, you can stay.
I do think like part of what makes the dynamic so believable is like that is how Entrapta always been. Like she's always kind of like social things are not her forte. She just says what she wants and is in kind of her own world the whole time and does not respect anyone's privacy. And doing that with Hordak works so well because she's so brilliant. Like he can't like turn her away. He like figures out pretty quick. He pretty much needs her to build everything for him because he sucks at doing it alone. And so her being able to say whatever she wants is like it hilariously works here. And that's so magical. It makes Hordak like way more interesting too.
Yeah, and not only that, but like Entrapta's someone who never takes things personally. She's like someone could blow up in her face and she's just like she won't take it personally. And sometimes I'm like, dude, you gotta defend yourself. You're like, no, you're right. But like she is so like zen and not zen because she's Entrapta. She's always a little like a lot. Anyway, but she's always like turned on to 11, but it's like with Hordak, he could be like literally like he could just blow up and she's just like, she'll just keep going. Like she'll be like, all right, I'm leaving. And then he's like, wow, she was right. And then she goes, of course I'm right. And shows up next to him. It's brilliant. I love what they do with Entrapta. And yeah, I love that dynamic.
She's like not afraid of him at all. Like when he creeps up on her and she's working on things, she's like, excuse me, like you're you move. Like she's not afraid at all, and it's hilarious.
And it's something that's really cool. It's that like, in the beginning when it first started happening, I was actually really nervous for her. I was like, oh God, which just shows that even though he hasn't been on the show a lot, they did build him up like in terms of like being menacing. And then she just like cuts that out. She's like, no, you're not menacing. And suddenly I'm like, yeah, he's not menacing. In a weird way, humanizes him just a bit. Where now he's not this kind of evil, like he's still evil, but he's not just like a villain that we're just being told to fear. I'm like, oh, now I see you actually like, now I can actually like, if I wanted to write fic about you, I could now because I get who you are now.
Okay, well, send Beatriz and Michelle your fic of these.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion. I'm glad. Okay, well, look, that was our discussion on that. So that's good.
I knew that would be it.
That's it. Well, look, I was gonna say that Hordak did stand out for me from this season because he was not a thing in season 1 at all, like the most underdeveloped character, and I think there's some intriguing threads left with him, specifically in episode 3, for this character. So Hordak, jumping out at me in addition to, of course, Scorpia and Quattro's relationship. Yeah, and I think the lack of Catradora jumps out. That's something we're going to talk about. But yeah, it's probably some other characters and stuff is obviously like the Bo's dads at the end. Oh, Shadow Weaver was much better this season as well.
She had a whole episode.
Dedicates her.
I was surprised by that. It was great.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. Okay, so there you go. There's what jumps out to everyone about this season. We've talked in depth about clearly the primary relationship this season, which is Hordak and Entrapta. So now let's move on to
primary.
Clearly
on to another relationship that's presented. That you'd think, okay, this show is Catradora. That was emphasized by season 1. Season 2, more Catradora. That's the backbone of the show. No, Scorpion Catra is kind of the foundation of season 2. Yeah, Sam. Is this what you were feeling after season 1? And how did you think it was presented this season?
All right, look, I've been on record multiple times saying that I personally believe that Scorpia is going to go to the good side, and then her soul bond with Quattro is going to whisk Quattro away over the good side as well. That being said, I don't know. Scorpia's feelings for Quattro are obviously very unrequited here. That's mostly because Quattro and Adora have blinders on for each other, and it's very obvious that that's how it is. Because, Adora never shuts up about Quattro, and Quattro never shuts up about Adora. And Scorpia and, God, what's the pirate's name? I'm sorry, everybody.
Seahawk.
Seahawk. I was about to say Swiftwind. Seahawk. They have, like, a little heart-to-heart about, like, their relationship problems in episode 5, and I thought that was so cute. Like, they're talking it out, and at the end of that episode, Scorpia gives a blanket to Quattro, and she just wants to love Quattro, even though Quattro doesn't really love her back, and it's very sad. And, it gets my heart sad, but at the same time, that's the sort of thing that I personally thrive on. That sort of unrequited, they're not going to ever get together sort of thing. And hopefully Scorpia will realize that Quattro is really just manipulating her and treating her really bad, and she'll move on. And at that point, of course, Quattro will be like, "Oh wait, Scorpia, no, I actually like you." But that's not going to happen because that's just not what the show is. But I'm here for the ride that we're on right now.
Yes.
I don't think it would be interesting if they were just like, making out in the corridors. I think it's interesting that you have, especially a bigger, more butch woman, sort of, having affection and love for somebody, which isn't really anything we get to see in media, especially animation. So that's definitely a point towards it for me personally. But yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully, it'll probably go to another less happy, heartwarming, whatever direction towards the second half of the season. I'd bet. That's probably when I think that Scorpio would kind of realize, oh, Quattro's not treating me well, and buzz off. But while we can dream, we can always just look up fanfic about it.
Yes, you can always just. I think Scorpia is aware of most of what you said as presented this season. I think Scorpia comments on Quattro and Adora's love, and like a great line from the season. Yeah, I think that's really good.
That's true, but the thing is, does she really feel it in her heart that that's the truth? Or is she just hanging on to the very false hope that Quattro will learn to love her as well? I don't know.
Definitely hanging on to a hope. And go ahead.
I was just so I have so many issues with Catador, but this season really, I did not honestly, as much as I love Scorpia, I didn't really think. What is their ship named? Scorpia and Quattro?
I don't know. I call it.
I don't even know. Scatra,
which I thought was funny.
No.
Well, I honestly I didn't think they were ever had any potential because it felt so one-sided in season 1. And the thing that really shocked me about this season is I honestly kind of believe that maybe it could actually happen for them. Seasons. And the thing is, episode 5, season 2, when Scorpia comes to realization, all right, you guys, you Adora, have so much history with Quattro, and that scares me because I'll never have that. But your relationship with her is donezo. That is the past. And what I can do is decide that I'm always going to be there for her. And I have faith that one day she's going to realize what she had all along was me, and it's going to work out. And I do think in that moment when she breaks the old one's tech and she's carrying them out, and Quattro gives her that look and kind of sees her in this different light as this confident, serious person, that's why she's all right, you can have some blanket, and she actually thanks her for helping her. I feel it's things like that are gonna get Quattro's attention, and Scorpia's already proven in that moment that she can get that attention. It's gonna take some time because she is her instinct is just to be very generous and to be very kind and to coax Quattro out of her shell and to track her down and make her talk about her feelings by force. But I think if she can learn to trust her own instincts and just kind of show this serious, confident side of her, they probably can work things out. And I never thought that was a thing the show wanted to explore. But now I'm really hopeful that they could be endgame, because I think that actually might be way better than Catadora for a lot of reasons. So I honestly think there is hope, but I'm here to tell you, I think there's legitimate hope. It's from what we've seen in the show so far.
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me in terms of hope for them is at the end of episode 5, Quattro gives Scorpia this look after Scorpia like carries her out. She's like, "This is for your own good, Wildcat," and just like breaks the disc and grabs her and runs. And there's this like really dramatic look that Quattro gives her, and I feel like in that moment she's like, "Wow, this person actually really cares about me. Has there been anyone in my life that's done this
I'm gonna
before?"
cry.
Yeah.
And it's sad. Like, we gotta remember, because I think a lot about this, because like, I obviously want the best for Scorpia, and like when I was saying before, like, oh, like I ship it, like I do agree with Beatrice too. Like I want whatever's best for Scorpia, but I also like want to give her the freedom to do what she wants, even if she makes mistakes, and that might like be really sad in a shipping way if it doesn't work out. But from Catra's perspective, she has literally only had one friend her whole life. And that friend was also her biggest insecurity, and she was pitted against that friend her whole life from her like evil mom figure. And we'll talk about that later, because that's the whole thing this season. So like, think about it. Like, how the heck can you expect Quattro to open up to somebody else? Like, look at what happened with the Dora. That was her only friend, and it's the biggest like blow up in her whole relationship ever. So it's gonna take a lot of time for her to trust anyone else again, and that's not personal for Scorpia. That's just like what happens when you only have one friend, and the drama gets that big when you become frenemies. So I think it's gonna take time for reasonable reasons, but I don't think you should lose hope. I think I think there's definitely potential between them for sure.
No, yeah, I think Quattro needs to grow, is what I'm saying. Like at the moment, Scorpia she doesn't deserve Scorpia at the moment. Mm-hmm. But like if she grows and we see that growth from her, which I'm 130% sure we're gonna get, then by then I'll warm up. I'll be happier with that. But at the moment, from what we've seen, I'm like, Quattro, like I get it. I understand why you're being the way you are. But also, like, Scorpia deserves better at the moment if this is the dynamic at the moment. Yeah.
Oh man, Scorpia's like her support system, and she's gonna like help her like feel better about herself.
Wrapped her in a blanket. It's like, this is the safe space. So you can open up. This is the safe space. And finally, and like yells it. Like she doesn't even like calm down. She just yells it out, and it's just they're also that relationship is just so interesting, and I don't know if we've ever seen something quite like it before. And I mean, I loved it. I love how openly like Scorpia is about it. I love how, and like when she is basically trying to ask Quattro out, it's the most adorable thing. And I'm like, girl, I'm with you. Like, oh, you sweet, sweet Scorpion queen. But
Wildcat and Scorpion Queen. Yeah.
I love that she has a nickname for her. Like, oh my God. Dylan's just sitting over here like, whatever.
But, no, I love that too.
It's so good.
I will say, like, the lack of Cachadora, it made me really realize at one point it was even cold. I felt like it was just such an emphasis last season.
Yeah, we'll get to them. I think.
Oh, I didn't know if we were okay. Well,
no, there's more to say. No, that would have been a good transition, but we have more to say. I want to run through all the Scorpion Quattro moments from the season. But yeah, okay, I appreciate the offer for the. But first, I want to say that I think Scorpion and Quattro would be like ideal for each other, like for the reason you said, if they end up together. If Quattro likes Scorpia, like I think that's Scorpia is great, like emotionally and stuff for Quattro, but you can't force love like that. Quattro has to actually have feelings for Scorpia too, and I think Quattro realized Scorpia like genuinely cares about her, and starting to realize that and starting to appreciate that. I'm not convinced is if she that's turns into romantic feelings at all yet. So I have like everything underlined on my notes for all these Scorpia Quattro moments. It's like that's the shocking thing is how much there's so many this season with this, especially considering Adora and Quattro interact once in one episode this season.
Yeah.
And
I'm not like trying to be mean, but I think that's funny.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's just the division of the season. They're going to interact more the second half, but they have one interaction. I thought, okay, if we're not doing a Cachador season, maybe we do a Glimmador season. Glimmer and Adora, and Glimmer and Adora do have some cute background moments, but there's nothing. But there's nothing that is to the extent of Scorpia and Quattro, and it's kind of crazy how much the show is digging into them, albeit there's code words like Scorpia says best friends, not, relationships.
She also literally says, like,
She
we're
says
bound
soulmate, yeah.
by the strings of fate or something.
Yes.
Like,
There's one line that is pretty
Like, what does
explicit.
it mean?
But there's a lot of best
Obviously.
friends things, which I'll get to that later in the podcast. I have thoughts about that. But so
I will say there's also like a cute moment between Scorpio and Lonnie, which is really cute.
there is, Lonnie blushes at Scorpio.
Yeah, and Scorpio goes like defends her defends her from Quattro. Like Quattro like snaps at her like in the one, and I think in the last episode, second to last episode, and then she's like, Lonnie wasn't trying, like, be nicer, like she wasn't trying to, so that's also a thing to keep in mind. I'm just like, yeah.
Okay, so let's run through these moments. So episode 3, Scorpio calls Quattro beautiful and brilliant. Then we get to episode 4, which is the start of it, and Scorpio has this whole thing of wanting to give a gift to Quattro that says, we are soulmates, and says, with the introduction of my Wildcat, this nickname for her.
And then she yells
those
at
things are
Kyle.
subtle. My Wildcat's not subtle. Soulmate's not subtle either.
Right. Well, I mean, Wildcat is, it's a nickname, but soulmate, I agree. That's the one line that is real. But otherwise, there's a lot of best friends, though, I will say. But, I mean, that there could be legitimate reason to say, because if you're someone who's, like, not trying to admit your feelings to someone or, like, show that you're close without making it real, there's some validity to that, I guess.
Dylan, you're my soulmate.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
It's just a lot of people who date, like, they are best friends. Like, they start off as really close friends.
It's a good
true.
foundation for
it can be
for
both.
that. Yeah. Then episode 5 is the huge episode for them. The scene of Scorpia trying to ask Quattro out, I think, is one of the highlights of the season.
She wants to do like a board game. That's so romantic.
It's
I want to play a
so
board
cute.
game.
At the end, she's saying, like, we can go bowling. Oh, it's kind of hard for me to pull a class, but, like, we can do it. Oh, man, I love her.
Yeah.
She can just like hold them between her two claws and just like roll it down the aisle. Like,
it's
she can do
possible.
it. It's fine.
Or she can she can have it placed just right and then like smack it.
Okay. Okay. That's... Maybe that's a future episode.
That would be a great episode.
We have the scene of Scorpia and Drunkadora in the closet, right? Yeah, that was a joke.
That was funny.
I thought that was so cute.
Yeah, so it's ex best friends. That's the Scorpia says she's babysitting Quattro's ex best friend, right? So that to me is the most explicit use of best friend being a code word. For girlfriend.
Oh my!
Because like Quattro and Adora weren't girlfriends though.
Right. That
so
is
it's
true.
like for me, I'm like, I bought like that Adora was her like best friend. Like I bought that.
Yeah, it does also make sense on the surface. Yes, I agree. I think you can read it both ways. I think probably intended, but yeah, it is true that they were only just best friends. But she says, she's like Drunkadora knows Quattro's favorite number, and Scorpia says, "You grew up together. I can't compete with that." But you two, even when you're trying to kill each other, you can tell there's a real bond there. I just wish she would see me as being worth her time too.
And here's the other thing. So we know, oh God, what's his name?
Seahawk.
Seahawk.
I was gonna call him Hawk Moth. That's not right. Seahawk. They're comparing the relationship. Seahawk is talking about Mermista, who we know he is romantically attracted to. If they are comparing notes on people they're interested in, like that's another very clear indication that she likes her more than a friend.
Yeah.
Right. It's obviously very clear that Scorpia has romantic feelings. I would really just love it if the show would say it, but anyway, more on that later. But there's probably censorship and stuff reasons. So speaking of that, the Scorpia and Seahawk, yes, I'm very insulted that you all keep forgetting Seahawk's name as a Seahawk stan. I don't know if I've
he was in one episode this season.
I don't know if I've gotten to voice that opinion on the podcast. Seahawk is the best. He was in 1 episode this season. That is true. But that is as many episodes as Quattro and Adora interacted. Therefore, Seahawk is as important as Quattro to the show. They have this. They're bonding over their unrequited love. Yeah, and it's really fantastic. I think.
But I think it's also really like I think it shows like that there's a chance maybe for Scorpia because they're paralleling them with a couple that's like. That I'm pretty sure is going to happen if it hasn't already. I mean, she did take him to the prom. So I'm just like, Scorpia, like I'm just saying there's Like it's unrequited, but there's hope.
There's hope. Yeah, I feel.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, and then later in the episode, it seems to be that caring about someone is the greatest adventure of them all, says Seahawk in a fantastic line. And then this scene of Scorpio knocking, sorry, Wildcat, this is for your own good, and breaks the disc and like grabs Quattro and runs out. And then this look, and then they're cuddling at the end under a blanket. Yeah.
And that was the episode that Noelle tweeted about. That was the emoji episode.
That was the emojis were all from the one episode.
And then all that. I'm pretty sure that was the emoji episode. And in the end,
this was the episode with the most happening. I think it makes sense.
And it ends with the rainbow flag. So, and what
there you go.
That's just sibling.
Okay,
I think I just realized something.
Yes.
Oh, so this is tangentially related because it's about the episode. So I think the thing with Quattro actually, I think the reason she saw Scorpio in a different light at the end was maybe just because she's so used to being able to tell Scorpio what to do and having Scorpio blindly follow her, but seeing Scorpio do her own thing, that was part of her being okay. So I think maybe that's what needs to change. Not just being serious, but actually just making her own decisions and not just being a blind follower. Maybe that's something that would attract Quattro's attention.
Quattro wants in the future Scorpia to be assertive.
Her own person and to make her own choices.
Maybe, but I think
that's pretty hot. Yeah.
But I think what else is pretty hot? Someone showing that they actually care so much about you.
That's the sexiest thing of all.
Quattro, Quattro's never really had that.
That's why it's so shocking. That's why that look, it's oh my God, you're willing to we have Adora, we have all this stuff. I feel like Quattro's someone who's willing to die for any mission. And then here you have Scorpia being I'm good, because at that point they didn't know that Entrapta had the first person tech. So then she's no, this person is ruining the mission to save me. And that's the first time I think that's the first time someone's ever placed her first. And I think that really hit Quattro, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And then the follow-up ones, there's the Scorpia trying to comfort Quattro in episode 6. And then in episode 7, this wrapping her up in a blanket scene, and then
she swaddles her like a baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of things. This is the primary relationship this season. You guys have given reasons to be optimistic for them. I, despite the lack of Quattro this season, definitely still think that is the end game of the show. So I don't know if I'm as optimistic, but certainly this, it's hard not to root for the two of them here, Scorpio and Quattro.
Oh, those crazy kids.
Yeah.
You have to wonder if the show, even if Quattro is endgame, the show could still explore this in the meantime. You have to wonder if they're doing that direction, because
there can be a throuple.
That too, but it's
yeah.
But because I wouldn't have said so before, but there's just so much focus on them in these 7 episodes on Scorpio and Quattro, so I think definitely continuing to look out for that. Okay, yeah. Now we can get into the lack of Quattrodora because
an hour later.
It's much less important. They have their one scene in episode 5.
We got the 2 most important ships out of the way: Hordak,
and Entrapta.
Yeah.
Scorpio and Quattro.
Yeah.
Well, wait, Dylan. They have that fake out in episode 1.
They have the fake. Yeah, they have the fake interaction in episode 1. But no, they do have an interaction with Adora says, "Hey, Quattro," to her in the video screen in episode 1, which is pretty good. And then episode 5, they have this Quattro lifts the sword handle under her chin, like we saw in the trailer, and before infecting her. So classic Quattrodora brutal scene, I think, but it has the tension in addition to the drama with it. But they are still the discussion of things. Scorpia talks about them. Quattro is I think notes this about Glimmer in episode 2, which I thought was notable, which I thought was, relevant to Quattrodora. She says, you think she's not going to leave you behind too, Sparkles? She says about Glimmer. And then you and Adora are perfect for each other, she says to Glimmer. So, that's Glimmadora moment, but also I feel like a Quattrodora moment in Quattro thinking of Adora, and she has moved on with Glimmer in her eyes. Yeah, and speaking of Glimmador, there's episode 3. I think is the most notable. This is my ship, so I documented all the background things on our Discord. But in episode 3, there are a lot of clinging to each other. Glimmer and Adora.
Great.
It's really good. Yeah, I was kind of expecting a little more from Glimmer and Adora these episodes, but there's still time. I think I don't know. I'm
there's still time.
Clearly less convinced that they're going to actually explore this as a relationship versus Scorpion Quattro, considering the huge disparity in screen time that the two relationships got. But these are my, I'm sure, the Glimmer and Adora is my Katang, and Taka is the Scorpion Quattro. That's how I feel about that. They work together. It's great.
That's Dylan. I was just thinking that.
Really?
that Taka and Scorpion Quattro are the same thing.
I think it's a good comparison. Yeah, Taka.
It is.
Okay.
I'm insulted by that. I think Scorpio Catcher has way more potential than that ship ever did.
No, Taka was the ship of Avatar Last Airbender. Don't at me on that. It was the ship.
Taka was
more
good.
than Zutara?
Yes.
Zutara is clearly the Catchador. I mean,
wait, I don't know who's Taka. What is Taka? Like it's Sokka
Toph and Sokka.
Toph.
Toph.
It's Toph.
Okay.
Toph. There you go. Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Taka has
okay.
Price too.
It's the best ship.
It's a good show. I have another Avatar comparison to make later on, so we'll get to that. But yeah, what so interesting what we're doing with Catcher. I feel like in a lot of respects, one of my big reactions to this season, these 7 episodes, is that it felt very different from season 1 in terms of what we're exploring. The main thing is that Catchador was not the focus, but also the plot is kind of dropped after like the first episode, and we just do completely different things. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, what happened to the Princess Alliance? What happened to like the woods freezing over and then unfreezing? Like that wasn't, what happened to Entrapta's robots, Emily's little sister? Like, it's the reason is it's half a season, so this stuff will probably come back in the second half, but eventually we get into like kind of this one-off territory in the last 3 episodes, and it feels like a different show. But yeah, I think some people probably going to react negatively to Catchador not being fully present here. I guess that's fair if that was your main attachment to the show before, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if that's your main attachment to the show, considering it is kind of the heart of the show. But what I would say is that it's still present and felt their dynamic, even if they aren't together on screen throughout these episodes.
Yeah, a lot of Adora is like, especially in the D&D thing, it was like all Adora could think about was Ketra.
Yeah, surrounded by those Ketras.
Yeah, but that's all she could think about. And then it's like, she wasn't even there. I wanted someone to be like, and she's not even here. But like, no one said it. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah. I really like that. I also like, speaking of that episode, Glimmer, at least viewing Catra in a positive light, appearance-wise, with her fantasy.
Evil, rich lady way.
Yeah, the Cowboy Bebop sexy.
Yes!
I kind of also love, kind of also love Glimmer and Catra, as they interacted a few times.
Honestly, they had more shipping moments this season than
Catradora.
Yeah, Catradora. Well, obviously. Also, like Adora and Glimmer too. I think
they did. Yeah. I mean, Glimmer and Adora were they always just have background material. It's unfortunate they really haven't.
What would that be in terms of Avatar ships? Like No. What in
terms of only appearing in the background?
What was Sokka and Azula's ship name? It would be like that.
Okay.
No, what? Glimmadora?
Okay,
no, they have
not Glimmadora. No. Glimmer and Catra.
Oh, yeah. That makes more sense. I was like, for a second. But
Okay. So yeah, well, I think a lot to look forward to with Catra. I'm still on the Catradora's endgame bandwagon. I don't even particularly ship it. That's just my read of the show.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Michelle, do you agree with that?
I don't know anymore. Like, it's up to the show at this point. Like, I'm willing to believe whatever has reasonable evidence. And, I mean, I can't see a future yet where Adora and Catra are going to be happy fighting on the same side. So that leaves Scorpio and Catra. And I'm invested enough in Scorpio to want what's best for her, and Catra's the only person I've seen her really interact with positively for the majority of it. So I would be happy if that could happen. Plus, it would be a nice subversion of our expectations, which is always fun. But I mean, I honestly don't know anymore. I thought this was going to be a purely Catadora kind of show, but I mean, season 2 came, and I'm not sure of anything anymore.
Not sure of anything anymore.
I mean, look, Adora, the only person that's actually like been like Adora hasn't shown much interest. Like I don't know if like what she feels for Ketra at the moment is romantic. Like she's obsessed with
Yeah, it's
her.
more just obsession.
It's obsession.
Yeah.
Like she's in my head, like all this stuff. But I don't see it as romantic at the moment. Maybe like from what we've seen, because of there was this absence. Maybe if they had gone a different. If they had kept up with like the Catradora, then maybe I would agree that, oh yeah, it's totally going to be Endgame, but I don't know anymore. I don't know. And the fact is, it's because I don't even know if like Adora's going to have romance in this show. Maybe she will, maybe she won't, but like at the moment, she hasn't shown any interest in anyone, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the opinion that Catra and Adora have romantic feelings for each other. They just don't know it. Like they just aren't like thinking of it that way. I think Adora's obsession with Catra is because of her romantic feelings for her. It's just like that's not something that's manifesting in her mind. Which I think is like what most people think the show is going for, but I think it's fair to question that given the focus on Scorpia and Catra this season. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fully expecting us to get back to that, but it was interesting. This changing up the ships here makes things interesting. Well, what's going to be Endgame?
Yeah.
I want to forecasting Catradora. I think I want to get into Catra's arc this season because I think it's related to that. I feel like I expected season 2 to be. This is one of the most interesting things about this season. I expect season 2 to be the Catra is evil season. My projection of Catra was season 1. She like grows to be evil. She's on the bad side, but she turns into the villain. Season 2 is she is the villain. Season 3 is like she starts to turn good, and season 4 is ultimately she ends up being good. We didn't do that. Catra is out as the villain at the end of the season, probably, and this is just to the halfway mark. But so like this was like very unexpected. I thought Catra would be the main villain this entire season, but she's like falls out of favor with Hordak and is potentially like being killed at the end of the episode. I'm not sure what we're doing now with her. Is this the beginning of Catra's like redemption arc, like her falling out of favor with Hordak?
No way.
Not this
Absolutely
soon.
not.
Because well, what are we doing then?
No. Because look, if she didn't hate Adora, like, and this doesn't cancel out any potential romantic feelings, people, but if she didn't hate Adora before, she hates her now. Or the moment she finds out that Shadow Weaver left for Adora, like, she's gonna hate her.
Yeah.
Like, because whatever is between them, they both, like, Shadow Weaver was like their mother figure. Like, she sees Shadow Weaver as her mother figure. I don't know if Adora will see Shadow Weaver as a mother figure anymore, but like 100% that's what was being portrayed. That is the thing. Her quote unquote mom left her for the preferential sister. And we see from that flashback, Shadow Weaver's always cared about Adora. Adora has been Shadow Weaver's number one. So she's like manipulated Catra, and that might be on Shadow Weaver, but Catra's 100% gonna blame Adora. I don't think we've seen Catra go as evil as she wants to be. We're gonna really see it in this next batch.
I think it's reasonable to think that Catra might not fall for Shadow Weaver's manipulation again, given that she like fully betrayed her in episode 6. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, she goes to Adora, but like, is Catra gonna care anymore? I mean, it's hard to get past that abuse, right? But she realizes that she was using her in episode 6 in, I think, the best episode of Catra in the show, and the one that really made me feel for her for the most, in a significant way, for the first time in this Shadow Weaver backstory episode. Shadow Weaver, petting the hair that's close to Catra's face, and explaining why she was basically abused her as a kid, and Catra is like falling for it, and then she realizes Shadow Weaver's using her, and it's really heartbreaking. I mentioned this also just because I feel like it's a big highlight of the season as well, and we're talking about Catra's arc here. How's she gonna react? How does this affect her view of Adora, which has been so manipulated by Shadow Weaver and the abuse that she suffered? And how does this view Shadow Weaver anymore? Because Shadow Weaver is going to Adora or doing whatever. I mean, it's not like they're going to be teaming up. I don't know what's going on there, but I think Catra's in a really interesting place here after the events at the end of the season.
Right, I think it could honestly go either way, Dylan, right? Like she could figure out finally to like let go of her desperately wanting some kind of positive relationship with Shadow Weaver / like caring what Shadow Weaver thinks and wanting her approval. She could let go of that and focus on herself and grow and do better. Or this could send her into a downward spiral, like Beatrice is saying, where that's just like the last kick in the face to make her like angrier and more desperate than ever before, and thus like even more resentful of Adora if she finds out. Like, I honestly think it could go either way, because this is like she's losing what she was so proud of, right? Like, she lost favor with Hordak. What does she have now? Like, she's got Scorpia for sure, but does she have like minions? Is she allowed in the Horde still, even if she escapes? Like, where will she go, right? So she could take all that energy and invest it in like having a Zuko alone time, or she could like put all that into like trying to kill Adora. Like, I honestly think like either is possible depending on how this fallout ends up affecting her.
Or both could be possible. We could be she tries
times.
to kill Adora, and then that doesn't work. She breaks down and then she has a Zuko alone moment.
Yeah, I think
that
my
both
theory
could
is
happen.
I think Hordak might be sending her to the island that he was
Yeah.
saying to
Beast Island.
Shadow Weaver. Beast Island.
Sam's
that's
excited.
interesting.
Beast
So,
Island.
To plug
She's
our
gonna
Discord
really
friends
be
again.
alone.
One of our friends on Discord, Nova Sujo, she brought up that she thinks that Hordak sent Quattro to Beast Island, and that's where Quattro's people are, like all the other cat people. And I was like, damn, that would be so cool. Like,
Presumably, there's other cat people. Yeah, that would make.
Or is there?
Yeah, I think that might be what's happening. That would be really interesting.
I think that would be very fun and nice.
That would be really interesting.
But then again, I would like sort of like a Zuko alone, sort of, just Quattro.
I think she could have a Zuko alone at the island while also meeting like ancestors. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
other
think
cat
that could
people.
work. Yeah. Yeah, but I think regardless of where we're forecasting Quattro, I think a point I want to make is I thought Quattro was a good character in season 1. I think most people she was like the highlight of the show, and I think those people were right. Personally, I just had a hard time connecting with her because she was not very sympathetic to me. I know some other people did as well, but the majority of people love Quattro, and I think that's correct and great.
Yes.
But I, personally had trouble connecting with her, but I think this season was much better with this because you do really feel for her in episode 6 with what she's put through by Shadow Weaver, and also the end of episode 5 and finally at least somewhat accepting Scorpia's, sympathy towards her. I think by the end of the season, breaking Quattro down from the position is a really good way to handle this character, at least for my view of her, because she was kind of always like in power and getting her way once she got past a certain point in season 1. Of course, initially she wasn't, but breaking her down like this, I think is for at least for me doing wonders for her character. And I'm very excited for what we're doing next with her.
I wouldn't even say necessarily it's breaking her down. It's just stripping her of the things she thought were important, right? And leaving her with just herself. And now she's going to have to figure out what to do with that. And it's very new territory because she's only had one goal really up until this point, and that goal's no longer an option.
Yeah. Definitely, and like, if Quattro is abandoned by the Horde, like, what does she do? She knows nothing else. She's no other motivations. I don't know. That's going to be really interesting. I think she would maybe maybe she goes to Adora if she's on Beast Island the rest of season 2. Would she go to Adora in season 3? There's some interesting possibilities. Is Scorpia going to try to break her out of? Oh, that's probably like that has to happen, right? If we're doing Quattro's sent to Beast Island, we have to. Scorpia tries to get her, because they've set that up so much this season,
and then Scorpia defects, and then they're alone together.
Yeah, that would cause. I think this
would
would
go
cause
to Beast Island.
Scorpia would go to Beast Island to get her to get Quattro back, and then Scorpia like, I'm leaving the Horde now after what they did to you, and Quattro would be like, what? I don't understand, right? So like, how would? Okay, I think that's what's happening.
It's not worth it if it's not with you, Wildcat.
Also, it would be really heartbreaking for Scorpia if Quattro expected Adora to be the one to come get her. And it was Scorpia who shows up. And it's like, Scorpia's like, I came all this way. And she's like, but where's Adora? That'd be really sad.
Wow, I actually think that would happen too.
Know. Like,
I
Hilarious.
know, but maybe I wouldn't be surprised if Quattro expected that or hoped
She
for
has
that.
like a dream or a fantasy about that happening,
Right.
and then like from the mist of the dream comes Scorpion instead of
Yeah,
yeah.
I could see that happening. I mean,
That's so
it'd be
dramatic.
horrible, but I could see it happening.
man, we should write some fanfic.
This is good. This is good, Fecca. Okay, yeah, I'm excited for whatever we're doing with Quattro. Maybe even the most excited thing I'm looking for second half of the season, which is a big turnaround for me on the character. I want to talk about the queer rep this season. Any representation we had, because we see the main thing is we see Bo's dads at in episode 7 here, and this was something we knew because Bo's voice actor spoiled it a while ago, but we knew Bo's dads were coming, and they were, I think everyone agrees that I've seen so far in reactions, they were fantastic. When we
They
saw
were, I
Yes.
love them.
So lovely.
Did Bo's voice actor voice one of the dads or no?
I
I
wondered
didn't
that
check that.
too because
Because
his math are so similar.
Yes, because if he did, I'm very impressed he could go that low and like for such a good chunk of dialogue, because he went pretty because he has he went a few like an octave lower, and I was like, that's very impressive. But if not, the actor who does voice him did really good at studying Bo's voice and like mimicking not mimicking, but like, you know, being like, it makes sense now. I was like, wow, that's really good.
Okay, we'll look.
Yeah, I'm
this
sure
up.
they had the same voice director working with him.
Yeah.
Whatever happened.
Like, you have to have all the mannerisms.
Yeah, were there any
Yes,
were there any other? Yeah, other than loving the characters, were there any other big reactions to seeing Bo's dads in the episode?
I just was so surprised by
short-
how. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the shorter dad has like the mustache and heart that's similar to like the classic bow design, which I thought was a nice touch.
Maybe he is the classic book.
Maybe he is. Maybe that's his secret. I also love they named their son Bo, and then they expected him not to get in the military. Like, his name is Bo. Of course he's going to pick up archery. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, that's, all the names are stupid, but this is true.
Wow.
They can only work with what they got from the original show.
Oh, P.S. In the D&D point, which I'm sure that we'll get into on that podcast, but Bo's vision of the battle was the old She-Ra designs.
Yeah.
From
Yes,
the
all
80s,
the old designs kind of merged with that, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
fun
really
fun
good.
fact.
So we saw
Anyway,
original Bo's mustache on him.
Bo's parents. Okay, so I don't want to be the one to say it, but it felt kind of lopsided that, we can have gay dads, but we can't have, like, Scorpia, Quattro, etc. be like, oh, I want to be in love and kiss this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it as also a parent thing. Like,
Yeah.
we can have gay parents, but we can't have our main characters.
Which, of course, I'm sure that's no fault of the crews, because, like, we know that they're good. It's, like, I'm not trying to pin on them. I'm more, like, trying to think about, like, societally and, like, networky
Yeah.
kind of way, which, like, I guess, gay parents is more hashtag acceptable.
It is on these shows more acceptable.
Yeah, like you can pick out what shows nowadays, like there's a ton of shows that have gay parents, which, that's good and great and wonderful, and that's definitely a point for representation. But on the other hand, it kind of what's the word? I don't know. It kind of doesn't feel as great to be like, oh yeah, your parents can be gay, but you can't be gay. Like, if you relate to Scorpio or whatever, like, oh, you just want to be really good friends with somebody. You don't want to be like in love with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with
That's
this.
a really good point. I hadn't even considered that, but there does seem to be, like, from that angle, it seems like a very, like, those teenagers are all hormonal, and it's this, like, fear of the gay sex that we're really afraid of, and having parents, it's like parents are inherently sterile. Like, nobody wants to think about their parents being sexually active, so it's a lot more family friendly than, two rapscallion teens being in love, because you know what teens do. I could totally see that being the reason, and that's a dumb way to think about television and to think about romance, frankly. But, like, maybe that legit is why.
Yeah, I mean,
which is unfortunate.
Historically, in animation representation, you have like gay parents. I think in like loud house Clarence, stuff like that, but you don't have it's like those that was like those are the more the groundbreaking things in these shows rather than seeing the younger people. It is a little pretty annoying to me that we can explicitly show Bo's dads, and this is, by the way, the fault of censorship and not the crew. Obviously, the crew would love to have everyone be gay.
Definitely.
DreamWorks probably primarily, in addition to maybe Netflix, maybe just the general industry wide views, and it's a big endemic problem. But it is still one of the, even just with Bo's dads, and also of course Natasha and Spinnerella, who were pretty clearly presented as a couple, it is still one of the more representation heavy shows, even if you're just counting those two. So it is like still pretty big. I think another thing,
they're very cute.
They're very affectionate.
Yeah,
like they we don't get like a kiss or anything, but I was so like was not it's one thing for people to be like, oh, like it's my, like they're my dads, and it's like, okay, that I felt like that could have been as far as they went, and like you could make the argument like, they're like it's parents, so they're sterile, but they were very affectionate with each other. Like they kissed each other's hands, which to me is more intimate. It was just so intimate. I'm like, oh God, like that's like, that's like my parents don't do that, So like to me to see that, I'm like, oh wow. So I'm just saying, like, I mean, but maybe it's just me trying to look at the positive, but to see these two parents, these two dads who had 13 kids and who like literally were like heartbroken that they couldn't be like, that they were trying to be supportive and weren't, and they were so affectionate with each other. And it's like, and the whole like, not like, even though like Bo's storyline with his relationship with his parents, not being able to be his true self, that is a very queer theme.
Yes, I was thinking that too.
Like it's so, and it's on top of having the parents, but we also have this story that's also very like, it's just, I don't know, like, yes, I agree. Like, I mean, I agree. It's like, why can't we be so overt with Scorpia and her just being like, I want to like kiss you, Quattro, let me kiss you. But also like, I feel like it's been very overt, I think. And it's like, I think there was just the one line of her being like my bestie, but wasn't she saying it to someone else, and she couldn't have been like,
no, she says best friend a lot, but there is the soulmate thing, which we talked about.
She mixes it up. Yeah.
And getting to the Bo, Bo basically has a coming out thing to his parents, thematically, but not
literally. Dads, I'm also gay.
Like,
so like I've long been a proponent of the fan theory that Bo is trans, and I am convinced at this point that is what the show is doing, but they're unable to show that, so that this was basically Bo coming out as trans to his dads, and kind of annoyed me that we couldn't actually get that. Actually, not a lot annoyed me. But it is still at least queer thematically, which is good.
You should write an essay about that, Dylan.
The overall topic, or Bo being
the parallels between scholarlyship and the soldierness. in terms of the trans identity.
In terms of the identity, I don't know. I'm not qualified to get into the specifics of it, I guess, but at least I did notice when we saw Bo's early childhood, like things, it was like pink girly stuff.
Very, very feminine coded. Yeah.
Which could have just been, progressive parents, having, their boy hat. Yeah. But, also like, and I think that supports the evidence of we're trying to show Bo being trans here. I would really like general thing. I don't need to get into this too much. We're getting late in the podcast, but biggest.
No, it's important though.
Well, no, this overall broader point. It goes beyond. A big thing that annoys me about She-Ra is that we have a lot of metaphors for things without saying them. In season 1, this was abuse. We never said that word, but we said it all the time thematically with the show. This season, it's Bo being trans. It's best friends meaning girlfriend. I feel like the show does tons of metaphors without actually saying, what they're trying to say. And I think it's because we view the show as a kid's show. It's also because of limitations of what we can do. But, obviously from like
the balance pretty well with like, cause again, like I feel like those two things Scorpia and Bo would be much more frustrating if we didn't balance it out with two actual ships. Like we have like canon gay parents, we have a canon gay lesbian couple. And like I will say, like I didn't mind like because Bo's language when he's having that kind of coming out monologue with Glimmer. I mean, I kind of appreciate the ambiguity because like to me it feels a lot like Alone Together in season 1 of Steven, whereas like Stevonnie can represent so many things, and I don't really see that as the show like not sticking to like, oh, Stevonnie's non-binary, like, or Stevonnie's trans, like Stevonnie's just Stevonnie, and it's vague enough that enough people can identify with it who normally don't get anything, that I feel like that's actually more of a net positive. Because the way Bo talks about it, he's like, so I never fit in with my family, like that's a big thing. And then he also says like I basically like had to fake who I was around them for them to accept me. That's another huge thing. And those are things pretty much anyone who's either not cis or not straight can identify with. And I appreciate that is kind of phrased the way it is, because it does like I can identify with that. I feel like a lot of people can. So like I get what you mean, Dylan, but I do think because like some other things are definitely confirmed, that having some more ambiguous stuff is actually, I don't mind it as much for that reason. Like if more people can identify with it, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing in the grand scheme of it.
So valid, what you said. I think that's totally valid. This is also something that annoys me about Steven Universe, so I would double down on that point. I think a lot of more people it would be much better in the overall grand moral scheme of things if we did Bo coming out as trans versus Bo ambiguously coming out that a lot of people can kind of relate to. You know, I think it'd be being very meaningful to a specific subset of people, in my opinion, is much better than being a little tiny bit meaningful to a lot of people. Especially when we don't get that representation for the specific subset of people. Again, not that I do think they would, if they could make Bo trans explicitly, I think they would do it. So I don't think it's even a decision, you know, I think like they're handling it this way because of circumstances. And so this is like the best way you can do it. But yeah, I do think some things they are purposefully being metaphorical about. So like it's like I think the abuse thing is they could hit that harder, but they view it a little bit as a children's show, so they don't hit it as hard. And it's something that overall I don't like. Obviously the show's still great, and I do agree with the point that having confirmed couples does help with this a lot. So I definitely do agree with that it makes it palatable versus this is not, this is nothing that I'm saying is like, makes the show bad. It's just, it's a great show, something that is annoying me a little bit. But I also wonder if as we go on, these things can be more explicit, because that tends to happen with these animated shows is towards the end of the run, you can start to confirm stuff. So maybe we're doing that with Quattro and Anderer eventually. Or maybe even Scorpia and Quattro at some point, if we're hitting in on that soon. Something else I wanted to say, getting back to Quattro, but Avatar point was probably too late to say, but the Quattro visiting Shadow Weaver in jail reminded me a lot of Zuko visiting Iroh in Avatar season 3. But the difference is that Zuko has this like really healthy mentor figure in Iroh, and so this is like a really good thing that sets him on a good path, versus this is like a really toxic person to Quattro, so it like further sets her down a bad path. I think that's like a really interesting parallel. Because Quattro ultimately is the Zuko figure in the show.
But also, sorry. I think the thing with Zeke was like he had already kind of gone on his journey, and he had a much better and stronger sense of self when he confronted his dad. Whereas Quattro's still like in the middle of like not even understanding quite why she still cares about what Shadow Weaver thinks, and does still kind of depend on her in a weird way, and she doesn't know why she was treated the way she was. I think she needed this clarity to have the kind of to begin to go on that journey that Zuko already had, but she's in like a much earlier stage of that.
Yeah, I agree. It's different. It's different points in their character.
Yeah, like that's why it like really beat her down, instead of it being like a very cleansing closure kind of experience.
Yeah,
it is really sad though.
interesting to compare the two arcs, I think, as we go on, because we're expecting Quattro to be on some sort of redemption arc like Zuko. Let's do quick hits through a bunch of things we haven't gotten here as we start to wrap up. We talked about Hordak having a bigger presence, but we learned some pretty crazy stuff about the show's mythology in episode 3, which being that Hordak is an alien, and there's other planets, and we're going to try to portal to another planet. So.
Wow, portals. I'm so excited.
I don't believe you.
Portals, Sam.
Yeah, bring in like GLaDOS and like Wheatley and Shell and stuff, and let's just have a big game of Portal, you know?
I think the show's mythology expansion like this would land harder if we had more information about the show's mythology. I think a lot of it's just very vague to us, so it's hard for this to be super impactful. But like Hordak's an alien, that's still pretty big. I feel like that lands.
I would go as far as to say Hordak was like one of the first, like he's either one of like the first ones or one of the like. Okay, so like here's a theory. You know the in the Ghost episode, they were like there was that one, the hologram that was waving. Maybe the hologram's Hordak and the little one's his like child or something. And he's receiving the image. Like maybe Mara when she, and again, I'm very like familiar with the mythology because I did host the podcast on it. So I'm like, okay, remember the like Etheria didn't always used to be in this like weird bubble. It used to be part of like a galaxy of planets. So my thing is maybe Hordak like literally was like came and then the whole Mara thing happened and he got trapped. And then he's just like, what the hell? I mean, what the heck? I need to get out. I got people. And now I'm stuck in this like realm and I need to portal myself out. Not to say that he's like, doesn't have evil intentions. He probably has evil intentions, but I'm just saying like maybe he keeps talking about Etheria being a backwards planet. So I'm like, he's stuck here and he doesn't want to be here. And he looks 1,000 years old. He probably is very old and can, wants to get back. And yeah. So, I mean, I for me, the reveal that he was an alien wasn't that shocking because I was like already trying to theorize like, okay, like maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think he looks very different. We know the show had first ones before. I think, I don't think I think it fits in with our basic conception of what's going on. But yeah, like, does Etheria know about other planets? Are there other planets? Like, what were the first ones? Like, like you said, were the first ones visiting all these other planets, and he was part of that, and then he just gets stuck here when it blows up. A lot of Mara talk, by the way. That's another big thing. Are we all on board with Mara? Mara was actually good, and everyone is wrong about Mara.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course, that's
absolutely. Yeah. Them just like be like, oh, when she went crazy, it's like, oh, well, that sounds pretty, not true.
I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. It seems like that's clearly what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think what happened with Hordak there in episode 3 is interesting, and I think we're gonna get more of that, probably. But we got we haven't mentioned tons of arcs with other stuff, but I don't know, anything from, we mentioned, Michelle mentioned Bo early on, but anything from Adora, Glimmer, and Entrapped, we mentioned Entrapped is what she's doing with Hordak.
My god, Hordak's little baby, I hated it.
No, I was gonna ask Beatrice, so like, according to your headcanon, did the ballerina girl from the hologram become his shoulder gremlin? Is that?
Oh my god, I did not know that. I did not suggest
Shoulder
that
gremlin.
At all.
I hate that little baby. It's so creepy. That's going to be the new Force Captain.
It's like
it's a parrot, but like weirder.
The little baby's going to be the Force Captain?
Yeah, now that he just like zapped Quattro away, it's going to be that little baby.
He's pretty reliable. It's true. He rats on everyone.
Yeah.
We're passing you up again for this little baby.
The ultimate insult.
Honestly, I would feel better if I was Kyle because like I don't want that little baby near me.
What about Rogelio? Is he going to be Force Captain? He's the lizard. We learned that.
Good.
He talked once.
Did all though. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Or Lonnie. Lonnie is probably the most qualified. Yeah.
Lonnie could totally handle it.
Yeah.
Lonnie's great. Okay. So yeah, I'm looking for a little more from Glimmer, although she's still fantastic. I don't know I'm not seeing her arc yet, but half the season. And Adora, I think, is doing a lot of stuff with Light Hope in the beginning that gets sidelined. So interested to see how that concludes as well. They fix that tower, and she starts training.
Are we going to talk about Swiftwind?
Light Hope.
They ranted about someone
no.
ranted about Swiftwind already. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Fine, I guess.
He's there.
I mean,
He's there.
I understand he's a little obnoxious. I appreciated they actually gave Light Hope like a semblance of a personality this
Yeah,
time.
she was funny.
She liked it. Yeah, she had some good jokes. I don't trust her.
She's still very
with
evil. Yeah.
the poll or what she says about Mara, but I appreciate that she has a personality now. It was pretty funny.
What did she say? I can relate. I too owe buttons.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what-
I
I like that
That's
one.
good.
What in reference
She wants
to
me to smile.
to Quattro pushing Adora's buttons.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah.
Frosta is a big player, previously not having much of a character. 180 on her being kind of cold in Princess Prom. She's kind of very hyper and loves Glimmer. And
Oh, it's cute.
they're great. I love Frosta and Glimmer, sisters. And
Yeah.
the rest of the alliance, I think, has some good stuff as well. Mimista, and especially in the D&D episode.
Sirak.
Yeah,
I love
Sirak.
it.
Was amazing.
Her
The-
intro.
she had her
Dolphin.
own like music, and I was just like, Sierra.
Can you make that the thumbnail for the podcast?
Yeah,
Dylan?
Sierra.
No, you can do that for the D&D one, not for
Oh my
the
god, I'm not hosting that
Can
one.
Scorpia be the thumbnail for this podcast?
I think I'm going with the trio, but almost did Scorpion and Quattro. Almost did. Yeah,
Okay.
I almost did them. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the big number one topic is Scorpion and Quattro. We talked about it. The favorite episode quickly around the horn from the season. Michelle.
Wait, what about Shadow Weaver though?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. We can.
question.
Okay. Shadow Weaver. And
Because I have so many feelings. Like
it's too late to all the feelings. But
okay, I'll wrap it up really quick. So we get her backstory. It's very interesting. Obviously, she came from being like on the good side to switching because she felt like she wasn't appreciated. I find it very fascinating that she like from Quattro being like a little kid, she saw a lot of herself in her, and I think that's like her leaving Quattro again to go to Adora just speaks volumes about how she must also view herself, right? Like she doesn't believe she's powerful enough for whatever she wants to do in the world. She constantly latches onto somebody who seems to have inherently more power than her, and she will always choose them over somebody else. Because she did that with the boy, she's doing the same thing with Adora, and for her to like not believe enough in her own ability when she's already so crazy powerful with this crazy black magic going on, I think that's really interesting. It's very sad, but I don't know, like that's kind of there's something there, you know.
that's
So
interesting.
that's what I
take.
wanted to say. Yeah.
Question.
Nice.
Did anyone else catch that the boy, Micah,
King
Yeah.
is
Micah. Yep.
Glimmer's dad?
Yeah.
I wondered about that. Oh wow, he's powerful,
Yeah.
man. The Glimmer's like super powerful.
I
Then
think
she
it's
should have
interesting that the
kidnapped
show didn't
Glimmer.
really comment on that. It
Yeah,
was just,
I made
Right
the connection
later.
based on like the summary from Netflix, the little synopsis that
Yeah.
said Glimmer's
Oh.
dad, Micah, and I was like, what?
Oh, well, that's spoiled. Come on, Netflix. They're supposed to make this connection on our own. I did not. I did barely remember the king's name from last season, but yeah, I think that's nice to throw that in, and we'll expand on that. But yeah, I think Shadow Weaver in the Light Spinner episode is fantastic. And seeing all of her backstory and being like corrupted by dark magic and stuff of Voltron parallels, I think for me. But I think like what she's doing with Adora, like what she's doing moving forward, this character really took a good turn, I think, in terms of depth and characterization.
Maybe I'm naive, but I think like she does really like care about Adora. Like I think she does really see herself as like
Yeah.
Adora's mom. Like and she didn't kidnap
Absolutely.
Adora. We did for a long time I thought it was that she was the one who found Adora and kidnapped her for the Horde, but it's like no, it's the Horde was the one who found her, and then she was the one who was like was left to take care of her, and she was like, oh, I care about you. Oh, you sweet tiny baby with big eyes.
giant
Yeah.
blue eyes, and
She had
little
very
fat
big
baby
blue eyes. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this
it's a little-
baby has
it's a
very
little
big eyes.
scary.
Yeah, it was.
I like how like fat they drew her baby face though.
Yeah.
That was kind of nice. Chubby baby
You-
Adora face.
You would say that. I think interesting what Shadow Weaver says to Quattro, even if it's for manipulation's sake. I think like I related to you. I
she
wanted to
still
be hard on
means
you,
it.
but yeah.
No, Yeah, because again, she says all that before she realizes that her pendant is hidden in the food.
Yeah.
So I think, again, in her own twisted way, like, she does want the best for Quattro at this point in time, and she does wish that she could be better than Shadow Weaver was in her role. But at the same time, she doesn't believe that Quattro's has enough power for her to use, and so she goes with the other person, which again is like it's really sad and kind of messed up, but like it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting, and I think that's something we'll hit on more with the twisted abusive mother dynamic kind of with them and her and Quattro and how Adora plays into that. And that's just inherently related to Quattrodora, which is, one of the main things the show's doing. So I think we'll get into that even more. So Michelle, would you make Light Spinner your favorite episode of the season?
Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna say Whiteout episode 5 just because like it was very funny. It had a lot of good Scorpia stuff. Yeah, I love seeing Drunk Adora. Like, there's just like a lot of good gags and like some very sweet like talks, and like everyone on both sides kind of banded together to fight the giant like worm monsters, which is like kind of great. Like, except for Quattro, but everyone else banded together, which is like kind of great in its own way. So like that's like my personal favorite. I think objectively either 6 or 7, but I also very much like episode 3. So I think any of those would be, a top contender.
What'd you like about episode 3? Just the Hordakin and Trapta stuff?
Yes, it was.
Okay, we don't need to get back to that. Okay,
such a pleasant surprise.
Question answered.
Really well standout.
Yeah, I do love the B plot with Hordak in that episode, but I did not like the A plot. I like the Glimmer and Adora clinging to each other, but I thought
it was a little
boring.
more random. It's true.
Yeah. Okay. Beatriz, favorite episode?
D&D.
D&D. Okay.
D&D. I mean, it had everything. I mean, they got clever with the animation styles of flipping back and forth. We got to know we got to have like fun moments and interactions with these characters. We got to seeing Adora like obsessing over Quattro and seeing her like reveal her like anxieties. And that's all within like, and that like, even though it was like a very lighthearted episode, we did get some very big moments. We got them like all working together. I love when we get like team dynamics going. I don't like when they like split off. And like, why we have all these princesses now? Why are we still having these missions just with Bo, Glimmer, and Adora? I'm like, I love the trio and I love the best friend squad. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, come on, Remissa, Perfuma, they're great. Why are we leaving them? So yeah, I think it had everything and it was perfect. And it had like self-references both to She-Ra of old. We had Perfuma's Quattro is like ridiculous.
A little baby child.
And it was ridiculous and amazing. And it was great. And then of course like Frosta's Quattro is just Quattro in a suit with like some like aviators on. It's just, it was great. It was great. And I think that was also the episode where we first get like the sense of like Scorpia's romantic feelings for Quattro. Where she's like, because that's the episode where she says like the whole like soulmates thing. And I think that was the episode where we got Lonnie blushing at Scorpia. There was so much that happened and it was done so well and efficiently in this very clever way. And it was so true to the D&D experience because some people who play D&D are literally just going to copy a character, which is what Mermissa did with She-Ra. She's like, I'm She-Ra, and it's like, what? And it's so good, and I loved it. It's the best episode of She-Ra. I'm saying it right now.
Oh, wow, hot take. Better than Promise. Okay, the D&D
Yes.
episode. I don't think they're really playing D&D. I think like
They're not.
That's what it is, but they're not.
Frosta was definitely playing D&D.
That's what Noelle referenced it as. She referenced it as
Frosta
D&D.
and kind of Mermista, but no. We've seen a lot of D&D episodes recently. Voltron and Craig have also done D&D episodes.
I haven't seen either of those. So
those like they like actually played D&D in those episodes. I feel like this was like more like a fantasy sequence, which I'm not saying is inherently bad. It's just it was a different spin on it, which I think was interesting. Sam, favorite episode?
I'm gonna be boring and say the episode 5 was called Whiteout, wasn't it?
Whiteout, yeah.
I like that
Whiteout.
one. I'm sorry. Like, I know that we want to have like varied opinions, but like that's just what I liked. What's there to say about it that we haven't already
We've
touched
kind of covered it.
Yeah, I don't like. I really thought it was funny, and I thought it was heartwarming, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Drunk Adora was she was like that drunk girl that like you see at like a bar, and she's just like telling everybody that she loves them and that they're amazing, and like it's great.
Yeah, I think 5 is the best episode. Whiteout. I think like personal taste and
Yes,
yeah.
I did not expect. I thought for sure you were gonna say a Light Spinner was your favorite.
No, I think Light Spinner's second. Well, yeah, I think Light Spinner is like a good overall. Yeah, it's also really good, some powerful storytelling. The end of the episode really killed it. But no, I just everything about Whiteout. Also does Seahawk, my fave. So like, it's all there. You know.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
7's also really good. And I think 1 to 4 are each lacking in a different way, but are also still good episodes. I think 1 and 2 are good episodes. I think
I think all of them are so good.
Yeah,
That's
they're all good.
7, like they're all so good and tight. I love all of them, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good batch of episodes. I think it's not there's no promise that I'm going to be putting on my top 10 list at the end of the year. I don't think Whiteout's quite that good, but it's still like really good regardless. And we haven't, the promise slot is not until the next season, right? So like that type of episode dramatically, I guess, is to come in the season structure.
You still got 8 months.
8 months? Oh, for the end of the year. Yeah, you can't really be talking about top 10s and stuff. But shouldn't be that long until season 3, though, of She-Ra. Probably only a few months, although we do not have a date yet. Hopefully not. They are finishing up this production of the show, so that would be a big delay. But yeah, 52 episodes of the show. We'll get the next 6 probably as a batch as quote-unquote season 3. Maybe Netflix will be not terrible and label it season 2 part 2, but they probably won't. But yeah,
Wait,
I think.
Dylan, say that again. They're finishing up production, but there's going to be 52 episodes. What?
Finishing up production is a strong word. They finished writing it, and they're finishing up pre-production on the show. Yes, but the last batch of episodes is being animated. They're very far ahead. Yeah.
Oh, so Netflix could drop the next 6 tomorrow if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, that's definitely done. The next 6, yeah,
wow.
And I don't think they're too far from finishing season 3 either. The next 13, yeah.
Why aren't they done over it though? I mean, the show is so lucrative. Like it's done so well. Why?
I don't know why they stopped after 52, but it's like I don't know if it could have just been Noelle saying this is how many episodes there are, or it could have just been saying like how would DreamWorks have determined this so far in advance? Because it's always been the case that there's only 52. So I don't really know. I
don't know. Maybe they just want to sell toys.
I had no idea there. Like, how did you get the confirmation to 52 even?
Noelle's been saying this in interviews. She said there's 52. Yeah, for 13 seasons for 52, and also you see the crew leaving on, and the way that this is animation hashtag, and you see all the crews like I'm opening up for work soon. You can tell what's date. Yeah, but yeah. So it's we're not gonna have a lot of this, but so that's why I don't like hate the half season drops in terms of balance, like spacing in terms of every few months, but it's just awkward to know, like it's not a natural place. If you release the season, okay, that's unit. If you go week by week, episode by episode, that's meant to be watched episode. Like half a season, I'm not meant to watch these 7 and then the next 6. So like that's the only bad part.
But if it's good enough for Fuller House, it's good enough for She-Ra.
No, it is. Netflix does do this for other live action shows. Yeah, they do. But they don't really label. They do part 1, part 2 for live action shows. I would really like for them.
I don't remember what they did for Fuller House. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Last season of Kimmy Schmidt, they did part 1, part 2. So
they did. I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Final thought. Okay. Well, other thing. Crimson Waste. Serenia Constellation. That's a hanging plot thread for next.
Wow, there's stars, man. I wonder if
they're like, wow, there's no stars. There's stars in the past. Wow.
I wonder if they have like zodiac signs and stuff, and they're gonna like find that out, and they're gonna be like, "What's your zodiac sign, Glimmer?" And then Glimmer will be like, "Oh, it's like this. What's your zodiac sign, Adora?" And then Adora will be like, "Oh, I'm like I don't know."
Into the zodiac is a very gay thing. So
yeah, so they should.
I think there's something there. Yeah.
All the characters. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Scorpio can be like a Scorpio, and it'll be great.
She would.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have too much of a hand in astrology.
Yeah, I'm not saying she would as in here the traits of that, but she just for the pun they would do that. Okay. All right, final thoughts. We're done. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll get astrology experts into that'll be the off-season podcast. What's each sign for each character?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, we'll do that.
Taurus season. Woo.
Beatriz is hosting that, obviously.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay.
I honestly
No,
am like, wait. Well, no, yeah, you're right. Scorpio would be a Scorpio. Anyway, yeah. At first,
already
Why should
spinning.
be a Cancer.
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, shouldn't she be a Cancer? Because I thought like crab, so claws. But then I was like, wait, Scorpio.
I don't
yeah.
know.
I like
Maybe
the crab
she's
thing, too.
like
Okay.
half and half somehow. Maybe like her moon
No, that would
rising.
be like one of
Mermissa,
them.
no,
Yeah.
wait, Mermissa would either be an Aquarius, a Pisces, or a Cancer, because those are the waters, right? So,
Okay. This save it for the podcast. Save it for the off-season podcast. We're doing it. It's confirmed now. Michelle, final thoughts on the season.
I really liked season 1, and I was honestly like really frankly like blown away by how much I liked this batch of episodes. So I feel like the show knows what it is now. It's digging into the meat of itself. It's fleshing out its characters, and this is like the best place to be in the show right now. Like, it's gonna be so exciting from here on out, and I'm just like, I'm so glad they made it. I'm so glad they got the people they did involve, because like you can see the difference it makes. Like, this show would be so different in the hands of other people. So it's just a great thing. I want more shows like this, but I'm so glad we have She-Ra, you guys. So good.
Nice. Sam, final thoughts here.
It's great. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. I love it. It confused me a little bit because they all have that thing around their eyes, like the kind of darker splotch of skin. I thought that was a constant blush, but apparently it isn't.
I thought it was a blush. It's not?
It isn't, because they blush over it.
Yeah, characters blushing
They
specifically.
blush over it? Oh no! That's a little confusing.
I can't watch the show anymore. It's over. No, I liked it. It's a good show. I don't know what else to say. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I mean, we covered it in the 90 minutes, but there.
We did.
Beatriz, final thoughts.
I am excited for more. I think, yeah, I'm excited, and I want to talk more about Hordak and Entrapta, but I'm not. So
We'll have time on the episode podcast. We'll have time there.
I won't. But yeah. I'll take this moment to announce to everybody that I'm officially off the Quattro ship. I'm off.
Whoa.
I've jumped off, and I'll
Are you
leave it
just
there.
in the ocean now?
I am swimming.
Are you on?
in
Where are
the
you?
glittery perfection that's Glimmerdora, and I am enjoying Scorpia and Catra because our Scorpion Queen needs her wildcat, and yes, and yeah, and Entrapta is amazing and continues to be amazing, and Hordak has a mohawk. That's worth pointing.
Yeah, he does somehow.
He has a mohawk. He's a skeleton with hair, guys. Skeleton with hair.
Damn.
And that's how I'm closing it out. You're
Just
welcome.
how
Okay.
skeletons are sometimes. They're just
Hashtag
like that.
hair skeleton.
Hashtag
Get
skeletons
that
with
trending.
hair.
Most
Yeah.
important. Yeah, sure. Most important thought last. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Beatriz, as if that's your last thought on Entrapta and Hordak. You're not going to spend the entire next few podcasts on this.
Oh, she
I
will.
probably
It'll
not.
come back. It
No,
will come back.
I'll only save it. I don't know if I'm even on the podcast that covers that episode. Am I? I don't even know. But no, like I won't talk about it in like episodes.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
You're going to talk about it. You're on it.
I'm not gonna talk about it in like episodes 1 and 2 because they're not really there on 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, and so we'll get into that in the 3 and 4 podcast. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, good season. We'll break it down more in the episode discussions coming up, so make sure you're subscribed to not miss that on our YouTube, where we post all our podcasts, or on our iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes, or our new Spotify cross-posting. You can see at overlyanimated.com, click the Spotify link. Can subscribe there. Everything will be posted there. We also have a She-Ra specific iTunes feed if you just want to subscribe to that to just get our She-Ra podcast. So find all that at overlyanimated.com. Come talk about She-Ra on our Discord at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Also, for the show, I can actually plug the Reddit. I mean, it's not affiliated with us, but I moderate it, so I can guarantee that it's not going to be awful. At our Princesses of Power. That's actually pretty good She-Ra discussion going on there. And our Patreon, check us out support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Phoenician, aka Fusion. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, and Michael. We will be back to talk about the individual episodes. We're going to be doing a pod on episodes 1 and 2, then in a pod on episodes 3 and 4, and then we'll go individual through the rest. But also find Star vs. Force of Evil discussions, other shows at overlyanimated.com. Fruits Basket coverage regular. We're going to Tuca and Birdie dropping on Netflix next week. So find all that at overlyanimated.com.
Wow.
Yeah, so soon. A lot
Who's
of exciting
covering
Netflix drops.
that?
We're figuring it out. We don't know
Ooh,
yet.
I'm gonna be on that.
I know. We know. Yeah, you're gonna be.
That's a spinoff to BoJack Horseman.
No.
Not a real spin-off, just a
not a
similar
spin-off.
art style.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So on that BoJack note, thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.